My name is Cathy Sigmon, and it's strange for me to be standing up here. This is not what I was trained for. This is not what I expected to be doing in my retirement. And I am living proof that all you have to do is show up, raise your hand and say, I can do that, and you will get into more good trouble than you could possibly imagine. So I can absolutely attest that all of you who are here today are taking a huge step in the right direction. And whatever your journey is, I hope it leads to as much connection and excitement as you could imagine getting into. So Civic Engagement Beyond Voting was started 9 years ago. We are in our 10th legislative session, and we were just a bunch of people who went down to the legislature after the 2016 election saying, this is not, I am not going in the direction, you know, that the country is apparently going. This is wrong. This is not who we are. This is certainly not who I am. So I went to the legislature. I wanted to see how the sausage is made. And I wanted to be right there at the point of origin. And for me, that was the legislature. Now, I had never been there before. I didn't know what legislative district I was in. I didn't know who my representatives were. And I got a very quick education. I just started showing up at various meetings. I started, you know, helping other people register others for the Request to Speak system at the Arizona State Legislature. How many of you use RTS? Good. That's a start. Now, Request to Speak, we call it the gateway drug to activism. And that is because it's easy. You can do it from home. You can just do a simple thumbs up or thumbs down on legislation that's going through committees and heading for a vote. We make it easy to start doing that. We started signing people up. To date, we have signed up over 20,000 people for the Request to Speak system. So sometimes I feel like we've registered every single person in the state, but that obviously is not true. So people realize that their actions, that they can do something to register their support or opposition to what's being done. Now, our legislature, is, I'm sure you know, is completely controlled by Republicans. So it's like watching a car crash. And there are some people who find that terrifying and go away, but there are a lot of people who say, I want to help. I want to help in some way. And this is a great way to get started. So we can sign you up. We train people how to use the system. And we also publish the legislature weekly from our policy director, Melinda Iyer, who is absolutely brilliant. And she takes legislation that is going through committee, she summarizes it, she explains why we support or oppose it, and you obviously can make your own decision about the bills, but we make it comprehensible. So that has been really helpful. It goes all over the state. We have followers and volunteers all over Arizona. And it is very exciting to be sort of convening a statewide community around taking that sort of action. So what I'm going to talk about is, and what we have done, we have broadened our reach from state government to all levels of state and local government. We don't get involved often in anything of national, in the national news, but I will be able to draw a line from everything that you read in the national news to some part of the state or local government that is doing exactly that work. So if you want to truly make a difference, the state and local level is totally where to start. I was listening to a podcast driving here today. It was an interview with Anderson Clayton, who is head of the North Carolina Democratic Party. She is Gen Z. She is very young. And she said as part of that podcast that the very first political meeting she attended was a local utility board. And that really struck me because, yeah, there are so many people who start getting involved at the hyper local level and realize that is where they can really make a difference. And it also forms a bench for moving up in politics. But then there are some people who know that's their area of expertise. They know they can guide that commission or board or part of the state government or local government. They know that they can make a huge difference there. And they serve as examples and models of how to push those policies upward. So I say that the economics do not trickle down, but in many cases, good government can trickle up. And so we believe that the work you do on the local level, you know, hyper-local in your community, that is the grassroots of democracy. And the best way to preserve democracy and strengthen it is to live it in your daily life. So people who say I don't do politics, well, they must not drive on the roads, they must not send their kids to school, they must not go to the library. There are so many ways that state and local government affects you personally in your daily life. So we also say if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu. So it is really, really important to stand up and participate. So what I'm going to do is start and, sort of come down to the local level and talk about state government first. And this is really important because these are offices that are all on the ballot this year. So 2026 is a hugely important year for Arizona. And we have several legislative candidates here today. I give them huge hat tip for stepping up to run in what I know is a very tough district. And I feel we should literally have candidates in every single race. Because if you don't start, you'll never get there. And also, we just don't know how competitive those districts are if we don't have somebody who will show us that they are competitive. So huge credit to people who have stepped up to run for public office. So the state legislature, what do they do? And the answer is pretty much anything they want to do. They control the budget, and this is so incredibly important. And I get very passionate about this because it's my background is in finance and financial things. I'm not a CPA, but I have dealt a lot with finance and budgeting and and planning around budgets, etc. In my work life. So a budget is a moral document, and that is the thing that we have to recognize and also make sure people know. Your goals are not going to be accomplished if they are not budgeted for. If they are not in the budget, it is just, lips flapping. It's just somebody, in a talking point. So our budget is incredibly important. And unfortunately, I don't know how the Republicans get such a reputation for fiscal management because they have made a mess out of everything they touch. And our state government is no exception. So they have reduced our revenue in every way that they possibly can. And I will tell you, a small government is a government that does nothing for you. So they have tried to strangle the size of state government for decades, and they have been, unfortunately, very successful. We have, in fact, very little avenue to us to increase revenue, the revenue that will drive our state forward in this 21st century. The investments that we could be making, the ways we could be strengthening our educational system from top to bottom. That cannot be done without revenue. And the Republicans have put a manhole cover on top of that, both at the legislature, because it requires a 2/3 vote for anything that raises revenue to pass. A 2/3 vote in both chambers. That will never happen. And also, in our infinite wisdom, we voted in 2022 for a cap on being able to vote at the ballot for anything that raises revenue. So they have shut off so many different ways that we could be investing in Arizona's future. And in fact, Arizona is the 5th lowest state in the country in investment per capita. We're below Mississippi. So that is really scary, and it's hard to know how to get out of that. So it ends up with all of the worthy causes, essentially, and government bodies having to conduct a sort of Hunger Games at the time of the budget, fighting each other for those dollars, because there is no way to just increase a budget without taking money from someone else. So that is a very sorry state of affairs. So also, I would say, if you believe Arizona is a low tax state, you are wrong, because our income taxes may be low, our corporations are pretty happy, but we pay for it in our sales tax. So we have among the highest sales tax in the entire country, and that trickles down not only from the state to the county and the local level, because people do expect to have a fire department. They do expect to have libraries and roads and traffic safety and police on the streets. So it has to be funded. So every time the legislature takes away, the county and the cities have to step up and probably increase their taxes in some way. So that is my side trip into state finance. They get their hands into everything. They develop, they try to put restrictions on, how our schools are run, how our cities, make decisions about their own policies. And much of it is really ideological. So that is truly unfortunate, and as long as the legislature is in the hands of Republicans, it will not change. So they're involved in transportation, in healthcare. Access, of course, is going to be hugely strained by what is coming down from the feds. And our state has still not decided whether to conform with the federal big ugly bill that gives all kinds of tax benefits to wealthy people and corporations. So the governor and the legislature are in a pitched battle of chicken to decide how are we going to conform, or are we going to conform our state taxes to those policies. They oversee the criminal justice system, they regulate ownership of personal property. This is just a partial list because they truly do get involved in anything and everything. Now, these are your representatives, and when I put this together, I just went, oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Because this is tough. These are 3 very difficult people. And Justin Olson is one of 4 candidates running for office in Arizona who are endorsed and pushed by Turning Point Actions. So I'm sure you know, and particularly if you are SRP customers, you may know that Turning Point is trying to invest in and take over and push their bench of candidates into office at every level. So if you are a homeowner in SRP territory, I hope you are voting in the board election. There is a slate of clean energy candidates. And Turning Point, I see now, not only do they have signs for their candidate roster, but now they have huge road signs trashing the, you know, the clean energy slate that is running for office. And so that is, they have a ton of money and they are using it. So here in Mesa, of course, they ran the recall campaign for Julie Spilsbury, which was an initial attempt to flex their muscles. They were sadly successful. So they are a force to be reckoned with. They have tons of money and they are focused hard on being able to directly influence elections. So these are the, at the time I put this together and until, you know, about a week from now, we are not going to know which of the new candidates, several of whom are here, are going to qualify for office. So these are just the people who have submitted statements of interest, and I know several of you, if you want to raise your hands, have already turned in your signatures. And hopefully you will be running a full slate here in LD10. And I just give you huge credit and I commend you for doing that. So good luck to people who are running in this district. I am very, very supportive. So also we have to be aware that all of our statewide offices are on the ballot this fall. And we, you know, currently the people in the top row are Democrats, bottom row are Republicans. Tom Horn is being challenged in the primary by Kimberly Gee, who is our current treasurer. And all I can tell you, I will bet money that she beats him in the primary. And I will also tell you she is worse. She is worse. She is worse. She thinks he has been too permissive with the state's voucher program. Or, I mean, not permissive enough. She thinks he has been too strict. And she will be harder to beat, but she is indeed worse. So that, we do have a bunch of great candidates. We will not know until the primary how that shakes out. But I am very concerned about Superintendent of Public Instruction, that we could go from bad to worse. Also, our state mine inspector, we have a fantastic candidate running for state mine inspector. Yeah. Brian Matlock. I have seen him present. He is amazing. Yes. I mean, he talked, too much. I didn't want to know that much about mines, but I do want our mine inspector to know that much. So he is very passionate about it. We are the only state that elects this mine inspector. And it was in our Constitution. And obviously Arizona is still a very big mining state. So we need to make sure that our Democrats get reelected, and I would love to say we could take over all of the seats in state government. So, but we need to work very hard to do that. And this year we will have a lieutenant governor on the ballot for the very first time in state history. We voted for this back in 22. And so the lieutenant governor does not run independently. They run on a slate with the governor. And the governor picks, just like the president and vice president, the governor will pick the lieutenant governor, probably not till after the primary. So we have a ways to go before we know who that lieutenant governor will be. But this is to prevent if the governor, something happens, or if they step down or move on to something else, like Janet Napolitano did during the Obama administration. They want the office to stay in the hands of the same party. So we have that to look forward to. Now, Corporation Commission, everybody who follows CEVB knows that this is my favorite commission to just go crazy over. The Corporation Commission, this is a body that should be called the Public Utility Commission. And in other states it is. And I think calling it the Corporation Commission makes it feel irrelevant to a lot of voters, but it is hugely relevant. If you think that Arizona should be a solar state, if you think we should be a leader in solar energy, which would certainly help us avoid foreign wars, frankly. We don't have to import solar energy. Then the Corporation Commission is that roadblock. They are in the process of repealing even the minuscule sustainable energy goals that existed in the state that actually Chris Mays, when she was on the CorpCom, she pushed it through. So it is a very frustrating commission. It regulates our energy prices, APS, but not SRP. So the Corporation Commission has pretty much been bought and paid for by the utilities and by the business community. So they have fought, invested, and worked very hard to keep control of the Corporation Commission. And they have been very successful. There are 2 seats that are up this year. We have a good bunch of candidates running. So I would really, really urge you to raise a lot of awareness about the Corporation Commission. SRP, I mentioned a little earlier. There's the association and the district. It's totally confusing. And landowners elect the officers for SRP. This is feudal. A feudal type of management, and if you own more land, you get more votes. So we have a slate of candidates. They are the clean energy slate, and you can just Google that and find them. I am an SRP landowner, and I have already voted in this election. So it's going to be really, really important to, I hope we can get some of those people elected. Yeah.
But it's not our primary ballot, it's not on the general ballot, correct?
Correct. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. You have to vote directly. The election is held on April 7th. So that is coming right up. March 29th is the very last date you can request a ballot. And you have to request it proactively. So only about 5% of SRP homeowners vote in that election, which is really unfortunate. Yeah?
I went to Milan to do this because I saw that and I went on there, and you also have to live in the district, which hasn't been redistricted since 1937. So nothing that's out here that's built in the last, I don't even know, is on there. I've owned for the last 30 years, but I can't vote in SRP because I live out here.
No, we're not in the district.
If you don't live more central, you won't.
Wow. But the ones that are, like,
Yes, she has.
Yeah, so here are the SRP districts and the clean energy team. If by any chance you're able to vote in this election, these are the people who will be on the ballot out here in District 9. It's only even numbered districts this year that get to vote on their local candidates. So local and county governments, They they make, of course, budget decisions. School boards, I'm talking about now. They hire and evaluate the superintendent, which is really important. And citizen involvement in school boards has been very instrumental in guiding the district in a positive direction. They decide curriculum. If you're concerned about censorship and what kids are being taught, school boards are in a very, very important place to be involved and to follow. You do not have to have a child in that district in order to show up and speak up. So we are all investors in the future of Arizona, and as investors, we should have a say in what our investment does at the school board level. All of school board meetings are public meetings. You can attend, you can speak, and we also give a testimony training. So there is an art to testifying in order to make your point be persuasive, which is truly what you're trying to do. So you can watch for that. We give it occasionally. And they make decisions on opening and closing schools, which is really something that is happening a lot right now. The ESA voucher system is robbing our state of $1 billion a year that could be invested in our public schools. And you may know there is a petition that is just hitting the streets today that would put guardrails around the voucher system, and they have to gather a huge number of signatures. They're aiming for close to 500,000 signatures. Yeah?
And just so you know, we have a petition in the background.
That's right. Thank you.
Save Our Schools is here for that very purpose.
Yeah, brand new. They are just distributing petitions today. So very exciting. I haven't had a chance to sign it, so I will definitely be doing that. So we have a chance to make a difference around the funding of our schools. And in order to figure out, it is very complicated to figure out what district you're in. Every level of government has different district lines, so it is a very complex landscape, but you can go to the Maricopa County Elections and Districts data dashboard, and you can get a ton of information about that. So, now in terms of city government, you're probably pretty familiar with what your city government does. But one of the things, and I say I like to draw these associations between policies that you may be very concerned about and what governmental body is responsible for that. If affordable housing and homelessness are issues that you really care about, then city government is where you can make the biggest difference in that regard, particularly through regulating land use through zoning. And zoning is one of those double-edged swords. It can be used as both inclusion and exclusion. And it can be used to preserve the character of neighborhoods, but sometimes when you do that, you are also excluding the sort of density zoning that makes home ownership or condo ownership possible for people who are just entering the market. So finding a way to navigate that and compromise in terms of allowing more density and making housing more affordable, and therefore alleviating some of the homelessness problem, is a huge role of city government. I was speaking to a group called the Chamber of Mothers once, and their focus is on affordable child care and maternal, prenatal, and postnatal health. And they asked me if their city council, and they were meeting in Mesa, if if it was involved in affordable childcare, and I said, I don't know, but if they're not, maybe they should be. So if there's an issue that you care about, you can take it to your city council. You certainly don't have to wait for them to, have a moment of revelation that the issue that matters to you is going to be on their radar. So city council, I think we're finding when it comes to data centers locating nearby, the ICE detention center, I should say concentration camp, up in Surprise, it is the city council that is the battleground for issues like that. And the Chandler City Council was actually able to fight off a data center right in their district, and Hurston Cinema was right there lobbying for it. But the people stood up strong, and the city council rejected that data center. Now, I personally believe that businesses should be investing in the community, not taking from it, but there is a big opportunity, I think, to talk about bringing how you bring industry or business to your community without having that business exploiting the community and the resources that people need. So there is an opportunity to make a difference there. Also, building codes, very, very expensive. They can often price people out of being able to afford a home. So city council, very important place. And you have district elections for your city council. Some cities have, a citywide election for all their city council candidates. In Tempe, we're having some very interesting elections. So you can go to your city council meetings, and the elections in 2026 will be for districts 4, 5, and 6. So you can expect those to be both on your primary ballot and on your general election ballot this year. So July 21st is the primary election. That has been moved up by 2 weeks. It used to be the first week in August. Now it's the end of July. And I'm happy about that. I like having primaries a little earlier. November 3rd is our general election. And March 23rd, this Monday, is the last day for candidates to submit their signatures to get on the ballot. So finally, after this coming week, we will know what the landscape is for our primary elections. The County Board of Supervisors is like a city council for the county, and all of these levels of government have to collaborate and work together. They have some overlapping areas of responsibility. Of course, they are responsible for budgets and the county taxes. What we most know about the Board of Supervisors is they canvass election returns, they run a part of the elections, and they declare the election results. But do you know who else is involved in the elections? Not just the Board of Supervisors, the county recorder. And we are unfortunate to have elected Justin Heath as the Maricopa County recorder. He is a full-on MAGA election denier, and he is doing the most he can to cause trouble. He is in a huge dispute. He is actually suing the Board of Supervisors, and these are now, unfortunately, we voted for all these supervisors in 24. They are not up again until 2028. We don't have, they're not going to be on our ballot this year, but we have to be involved. And CEVB, we are looking for volunteers who are willing to follow the Board of Supervisors, attend meetings in person to support rationality, because I will tell you, the MAGA people are there every single time. And our people are not showing up. Now, I tend to believe there are more of us than there are of them, but they are allowed and they are there. So it is really important that we attend Board of Supervisors meetings, and we are looking for a team to help do that. So we are coordinating with the Voting Rights Coalition all over the state to help with that. But All Voting is Local is named Justin Heath and they are a national organization, among the 10 most dangerous election deniers in the entire country. So he is suing the Board of Supervisors. He is trying to grab as much power as he can around elections. And I will say I rarely speak this strongly about somebody in office, whatever my personal beliefs, but he is very dangerous and he is going to make big trouble this year. So when you hear about, they're going to attack the elections, are we even going to be able to have free and fair elections, and you want to do something about that, monitoring the Board of Supervisors and supporting them as they push back against and try to negotiate with this bozo is really, really important. Supervisor Mark Stewart is in full collaboration with Heath. He is my supervisor. And District 2 supervisor, and I'm not sure if that is part of this area. It is. Supervisor Galvin is a reasonable guy. So you have one good and one bad. If you want to set up a meeting with Mr. Galvin and start a conversation with him, having those relationships can be really, really important. So I would strongly recommend that you get involved there. Lastly, I'm just going to talk about the community college boards. These are the jewels of our state. My son, it took him 9 years to get through college. He was able to collect his degree from ASU, but at least 7 of those years he was at the community college level. And I am so grateful those schools were there and they gave him a good education. We don't invest nearly enough in our community colleges. These are the 2 people in District 2 whose terms, or in the area that you will be voting. I wasn't sure how geographically diverse this would be. But District 3, Marie Sullivan will be on the ballot, or her seat is up for election. And Kelly Butler, who is an at-large governing board member. These are the 2 seats that you're likely to see out in this area on the ballot. So I really wish we were investing more in community colleges. Again, that is a matter of state policy. The legislature is where that happens. So if that is your area of interest, not only follow the community college board, but the state legislature. So I was asked to sort of give a framework for the state and local offices that really matter and why they matter. Our theory of change as a group is that if we show people how these levels of government affect us in areas that we care about very personally on a daily basis, people will be more inclined to vote the whole ballot. Now, in the fall, we will publish our ballot guide. We will also publish for pretty much every office in the entire state, top to bottom. And we also publish Gavel Watch, which is our guide to the judges on the ballot. That is a project that is going on right now. I have 3 volunteers, including 1 lawyer and former judge, who do that research. They do an amazing job. So this is all public information that you too could find if you had 3 volunteers and 6 months to do the work. So we are very, very happy to be publish it.
What's the name of the point that you're gonna publish about the candidates and issues?
We will publish it as the CEVB ballot guide. And if you are on our mailing list, you won't be able to escape it. So we will promote it as widely as we can. We'll reach out to all the LDs. With Gavel Watch, we unfortunately can't publish until after a lot of the LDs have had to print their bid, because judges don't confirm if they're going to stand for retention until the beginning of September. So we publish right after they declare. So, are there any other questions? Is there anything I didn't cover that you're curious about?
I just wanted to confirm, when they changed it, or we just signing up to do RTS isn't enough, and you have to go down to the Capitol to sign in that there's a special place. Are you guys still having people that are volunteering to help people get down to the
Yes.
Capitol?
Yes, we are. It's a service that we offer. We have runners who go down to the Capitol and set up those accounts. And then we send people all the information they might need to take action. And then they get our, weekly, about what's going on in the legislature. I will say request to speak is tied to the committee process, and committees will be ending in 2 weeks. So it's a relatively short period of time, but it is still really important to make your voice heard. It just has to be done more with phone calls and email at that point. So it's part of the legislative process. It's an official part of the Arizona State Legislature. I have not found any other state in the country that has a digital remote way to do that, to take that action. We are very unique. And Arizona is actually a pretty progressive state when it comes to involving people in the electoral process. So it's not all bad. So thank you so much.